WV Uncommonplace. This podcast is a variety podcast that houses numerous series to cover mental health, empowerment, podcast framework, and various intimate theories to get to know the hosts. Along with occasional movies reviews and dives in pop culture with our event podcast episodes. The Uncommonplace digs into bringing guests on that stories don't fit the mold and are very different. WV stands for the great state of West Virginia, and every quarter we cover something in West Virginia. Stacey and myself, JR, are your hosts, so please come along for this venture to Uncommonplace.
Hey everybody, this is JR from West Virginia and Commonplace, and I am here to tell you about Anchor Nebula and their Go Anywhere series of projectors. They are some of the best projectors you can use when you're on the go, going camping, just even around the house. And these models include the Capsule 2, the Capsule 3 laser, and the brand new Mars 3. So definitely take time to go out and grab one of these projectors, and you will be immersed in an experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. Remember, Anchor Nebula is the way to go. Welcome to West Virginia and Commonplace. This is JR. Now we're going to go back into a time when we were on computers. I mean, we were still outside doing our thing, but we got AOL Instant Messenger. And this episode is entitled ASL. If you don't know what that means, it's age, sex, and location. That doesn't have much to do with this episode, but it's just a funny turn on things because in the ICQ chats, that's what we used to talk about. But my Instagram story is a halfway love story and halfway heartbreak, and it's some extra bullshit I went through. And it's why I didn't end up like these online dating people later on in life. At the tender age of 14, 15, I was in either 8th grade or 9th grade. I don't know what it was, somewhere around that time. So I was between 8th and 9th grade, so let's just leave it at that. And I had AOL Instant Messenger. And, you know, then my email would come up and then you would hear a nice little sound that would sound like this. And then from there, I would just jump into it. And I had this friend, her name was Candy. She went to school with me, but then she didn't go to school with me. Like, we went to school together, but I didn't know her from school. She was in the yearbook and stuff, but she had some type of illness or some shit that kept her from going to school by the time we were talking. And she sent me pictures. We sent pictures back and forth and all kinds of stuff. It was like a cool conversation. It was actually like not the type of thing that you would think of like a love story or relationship, but it was like someone I could equally talk to. Like, she liked an R&B singer that I was really cool with and listening to, which was Keith Washington. And I thought that was kind of wild because who listens to Keith Washington of all people? Because, you know, he didn't have that many hits, but he is what he is. So every day after school, we would just chat it up. You know, it might not be 30, 40 minutes. It wasn't nothing crazy. It wasn't like any of these long stories that you hear about these people getting on the internet and talking for hours and hours and hours. Nah, it was nothing like that. But the crazy thing is that it went on for like almost a year. And while it went on, I mean, we learned about each other. And the craziest thing is we only lived like 2-3 miles apart from each other, but never saw each other. And even to this day, I have never seen her in person. She's claimed to see me, but teaches own, I don't know. And, you know, I'm not no celebrity or nothing. So if you see me somewhere, you might see me somewhere. I don't know. I don't pay attention to all that shit. Now, throughout this time, like, we explored different things. Like, she's the reason, like, that I'm deep into being a movie critic and looking at the different aspects of films and stuff, because we dissected movies. We talked about what was good about them, what wasn't. We were like Siskel and Ebert back then. And it was a range of movies. And one thing that was pretty cool was the animation portion of the stuff, because she's the one that taught me about torrents, more or less, you know, things about what were to come, like Napster. She invented Captain Jack Sparrow before he was Captain Jack Sparrow, and that's just talking about piracy. Arr. And through this friendship, I could talk to her about things that I couldn't even talk to my girlfriend about. I had a girlfriend and I was still talking to this girl, and my girlfriend knew, and she said it was harmless. You know, she checked the messages. So I do want to say this, you know, even back in the day, motherfuckers was getting checked on back then. So, you know, it is what it is. And it was all harmful conversation. It was like having a friend that you'll never, ever see. And I didn't know that I would never ever see this person. And anyway, so the trying moments and the great times that we had, like we went into deep detail about Nintendo and Sega and about 80s and early 90s wrestling, because you got to remember, we were living during the WCW Monday Night Nitro time. And I think about this this conversation I had with Candy and always had with her while we were there. We never talked on the telephone. We sent pictures, blah, 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 but we never felt the need to pass along each other's telephone numbers or even engage in anything that would go on, you know, outside of the normal simple conversation we had in AOL Instant Messenger. And the sad part came in that at some point I left my computer. Like, I had a desktop computer. It wasn't like I had a laptop. So I had to dedicate time to it. And at this time, you know, I was entering high school and I didn't have the time or didn't make the time that I used to make for things like this. So that's how it kind of just disappeared. And from that point on, I never heard from her again. And what's crazy is I got heavier into the digital age with MySpace, Facebook, and all this other stuff. And even if she had popped up on Facebook or MySpace, we had that one moment in time on Instant Messenger that whole year that we messaged each other. And I never was able to capture that gold or that magic with any other person ever again in my life, which in some instances, you're not always supposed to, you know, reap the same reward or the same experience you had prior. You're supposed to just have that once and then go on in life. So on that note, I just want to leave this at this. That was a great moment for me. And it was just crazy. Like, it just was conversation. But it will lead into the next episode that I'm doing along with this. So be prepared for the next one, and we will get into that one. And once again, I am JR from West Virginia Commonplace, and I am signing off.
Please follow WV Uncommonplace on Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, TikTok, where we have some great content, Facebook, LinkedIn. Hit up the merch store at onecommonplace.square.site. Join the email list from the website, and rate, subscribe, and give feedback from your favorite podcatcher. And lastly, thanks for listening, and tune into the next episode.